Hello, this is Elijah Peters of the Data Structures and Algorithms class. This is week 2 at Manchester Community College. This is working with the Euclid's algorithm, and let's get started. First, we'll get into the first class. This class specifically just first we import everything we need for the file writer, the directory paths, the folder path, or the file path, and the list, an array list for the 100 trials. And mainly what this class does is it performs one step of the algorithm and writes the step to a file to start. Then it has a lot of try access blocks for error handling. So this one specifically closes the file writer and sets the true parameter to not overwrite over the file. And then if we go down, we can see it checks if the next step will return in a swap. And leading past that, we have a utility method that reads all the lines and counts how many lines were written, with a try block to make sure that if it's reading the file, it will catch it and restart fresh. Then we have this just runs the actual algorithm and writes the process to the file. This if function will just delete a file if it already exists and start fresh and overwrite it. And then we have this deletes the already, so this writes the first line to the file, and error handling to see if it catches anything when it's writing. This while loop is the main algorithm loop, which is just as simple as if m and n are not equal, swap if n is bigger than m. Therefore, the swap count will go up +1 each time, and it will keep going till it reaches the end. And then the second while loop subtracts n from m until m is no longer greater than n. And this just records the end time and the calculations of the total time in nanoseconds down here. And let's get to the second one. This class, the Euclid's Lab class, is specifically for calculations. So we have the same type of imports for the file writer, the path directory, the file path, and then a random generator for the 100 trials. So a random generator from, I think, 100 to 5,000 for a number for the 100 trials for M and N. So first we have error handling for the data folder down here. These are just constant variables so the number of tests, the data directory, the report file, and then the random generator. Then we start with just printing out the start of the process, and this is a try block for getting the file path, or for the data folder, to test the data folder, and then we close the file and write header lines and label all the columns on the report, and then it runs the algorithm and gets data for a singular test of the 100, and then continues to write the report line to keep track of the changing data, and it just writes out at the end of the process before you get the actual CSV file, and it writes this out before it transfers you to that, saying everything is saved to the file, and therefore, This is the class just for the constructor and the declaration of the variables for the Euclid's Lab object. So we have the int for m, int for n, the int for the swap count, the int for the line count, and then we have the double for time in seconds, which is nanoseconds. Then we have the constructor for m, n, swaps, lines, and time, and that is all initiated through this and set to the Euclid's Lab. That is week 2, and yes.